Hello, empaths. My name is Dr. Eileen. I hope that as you have joined this video, this segment of your encouragement tips, that you're feeling supported, that you're feeling peaceful, that you're feeling aligned, and like you have the tools to navigate the empath journey, which at times can be quite challenging. Welcome to this channel. It is designed to support you in ways that may help you navigate this experience better, smoother, in a way where you feel like you've got a grip on being an empath, and where it's fun and exciting, and where you breathe moment by moment, finding your highest light in service and honor of the divine. So welcome. These are your encouragement tips. We are exploring the journey of the heart. This is the experience of an empath that has elevated their consciousness and their understanding of all that they are. This empath now understands why they are here, and that their energy sensitivities and the way that they uniquely move through the world and the lens in which they view the world is very special. It's not odd. It's actually required. It's actually divinely required. It's divinely inspired by creation to help our planet, ascend, to help our planet and its inhabitants harmonize together, coexist in the highest light. Now, of course, not everybody's going to choose the highest light, right? But for the empath that's on the journey of the heart, they are embodying the light of the divine. They are making that choice to elevate consciousness as best as they can. You just do your best, and you present the different things that are available to all of us that choose to be dialed into the source of creation. You present those in the best way, the elegant way, the eloquent way, of course, staying within your own structure and being authentic and being true to yourself at all times. But you present the planet with options that sometimes people either don't realize are available, or they forgot are available. So you carry such an important role, empath. Thank you for your light. Thank you for your unique way of just holding the light, embodying the light, and sharing with humanity that there are options. There are other ways of thinking. There are other ways of being. There are other ways of moving through the world, even when life gets tough, even when we have collective experiences that are hard, even when the global situation is uncertain and not what we were hoping for or wanting. You inspire hope with your light and your beautiful essence. So thank you so much for showing up. So the journey of the heart is a more mature path. It's the path of an empath that has done their work. They've healed themselves from childhood wounding and oversensitivity and the need to be validated. The opinions of others are less relevant to the more mature empath. And the journey of the heart is this beautiful experience where the empath moves from being an overly sensitive being who cannot tolerate loud noises and lights and, that are too bright, or sounds and community events and parties and intense situations where there's a lot of energy swirling. The mature empath moves from being that they once perhaps were, to this more evolved, grounded, and anchored source of light and calm. So what once used to swirl around you and be too much and dysregulate you, now you have become the storm within the chaos. So before, the storms of life were just too much. It was too overwhelming. it left you feeling unearthed. And now, in the middle of the chaos and in the middle of the storm, you find yourself meditatively anchored and grounded. And in some cases, you are the storm within the storm. You are the calm within the storm. And at times, you are the storm within the storm. And you know this because you've done the work. You've worked on yourself. You've healed so many old wounds, so much old baggage, so many childhood experiences, sometimes atrocities and violations and disrespect. And even as little people, if those things happened to you, you were still always the light of God. And therefore, you always deserved reverence and respect. Your light was always to be esteemed and reverenced. And yet sometimes you were born into situations or families that were not able to see your light or recognize it. Or if they did, they didn't know what to do with it. So you've done so much work to heal yourself. And now you've found yourself here in this state of being and at this channel and in this point in your life where you are wanting more and you're striving to be the best version of yourself and to show up however you can in your corner of the world, offering light. So in this mature space, the energy sensitivity is still there, but now you are able to see the value of everything rather than it being this alarming, intense emotional experience. You now recognize that even in the chaos, there's something being offered, there's something being gifted, there's something that has oftentimes been activated, and it's our job as empaths to find the gold. Okay, so in this space, you know that without a shadow of a doubt, you are divinely supported 24 hours a day, and you are protected in all ways. It's like you've elevated your consciousness and your perspective. You've climbed the mountain, metaphorically, or maybe for real. Maybe you have, really climbed the mountain and gotten all the way to the top. And, nobody climbs a mountain. I know some people that have climbed Mount Everest, and it takes a while to do this. And nobody just climbs and you're like, okay, I'm here. And then, 5 minutes later, you just go back down. No, people hang out. If you've done that, if you've done the work, if you've trained to climb up, you stay there for a while and you meditate on the experience and you enjoy what's gifted to you from this higher vantage point. You allow yourself to integrate the fact that you're a rock star because you just climbed Mount Everest or whatever mountain. But more importantly than you being a rock star, you're connected to all that is. To some degree, you're connected to this mountain. You'll never be the same again. This mountain has left its mark on you. And in some ways, you've left your energy signature there as well. So you're there, up at the top of the mountain. And when you're up there, in these moments, whether you literally climbed Mount Everest or whether we're talking metaphorically, the universe speaks to you. The divine begins to talk to you. You recognize how powerful the universe is, right? The cosmos, the quantum field. You recognize that you're an intricate component and part of that beautiful cosmic super puzzle. And in this space, recognizing how powerful the all of creation is, and therefore how powerful you are as a part of that, this changes you. Okay? When you've done the work, you've climbed the mountain, and you've allowed yourself to integrate all that you are, this changes you. From this new vantage point, from this higher space, you now have new perspective. This is the ascended path. This is the mature path. This is the journey of the heart. And from this higher perspective, this higher vantage point, you cannot unsee what your soul saw up there. You can't unlearn what the soul now knows or remembers that you've always known. You now realize that you were chosen and you were born for such a time as this. This is the journey of the heart. Your gifts are now fully activated, even though there's much to learn. There will always be so many more lessons for us to learn, so many more things to integrate. And like I said several times, new levels, new devils. That's not something to be afraid of. It actually is a testament to your mastery that now you're integrating differently and your vibration has elevated in such a way and your frequency is so loud in that it is drawing more attention, more energy. And it's a mixed bag. We've talked about this. The energy field is a mixed bag of people and situations and things. And some of those are going to feel great and feel aligned, and others are going to feel chaotic. It's a mixed bag. This is why we've talked about getting into the chaos, vortexing the energy, shifting the energy. You are a shapeshifter. If you didn't know, you are. You're fully capable of shifting situations like that. That's how powerful you are, empath. So when your gifts have been fully integrated and activated, and now you're honing these abilities and finessing the energy, because from that mountain, that vantage point, that higher perspective, you're really recognizing all that you are and that you're divinely supported and that the universe and the divine and creation and God has your back and your ancestors have your back as well. So in this space, you aren't overwhelmed anymore. You're not dysregulated. You're not discombobulated by all of the stuff that you see down there. The things that used to get you off course and make you want to run away and hide, you're no longer there. You're anchored. You're fully integrated. You're like, bring it. I'm good. I'm down. What, you want me to go there? You want me to do this? Okay, I'm ready, because you know how to go within the heart space, access, download your command codes. And because your heart is pure and you are serving with the intention of honoring the highest light, there's really nothing to be afraid of. You just go and do it. You just go do your service work. You go to the mission field and you offer what you have, knowing that even if just one person is touched or healed or aligned or inspired, you've done incredible soul work. So you realize that you're not alone. This is part of the journey of the heart. You realize that you will always have full access to whatever is needed. And you are confident, you are anchored, you are grounded, because you are abiding in your pure heart structure. So your ego that once didn't serve you is now here to assist, and it serves your soul. It serves your dreams. It helps you implement and activate soul purpose. So there's this beautiful harmony between your ego, your personality, your human, self, and the divine aspects of all that you are. There's this beautiful amalgamation. There's this beautiful synchronicity, synergy, and harmony, and energy just flows between your personality and your ego and your divinity. It all just flows. It's so beautiful. It's so harmonized. This is the empath journey of the heart. And with your pure heart structure and your intentions, everything that you offer is pristine. So beautiful. So beautiful. So in today's talk and tips, we're going to talk about the Divine Five, and we're going to talk about the dark night of the soul explored from this new vantage point. So now that you're in the journey of the heart, you've climbed the metaphorical or, literal mountain. You've seen from a higher perspective. You've seen all that there is. By the way, I had this dream a few years ago. It was so cool. I ran to the base of a mountain and I wanted to get all the way up to the top. And I knew it would take a long time if I tried to walk. So I just backed up a little bit and I literally leaped. I leapt. Is that past tense of leap? I leapt into like the middle of the mountain. And then I came back down. I went further back, and then I ran and I leapt up high. Never said the word leapt. I hope that's right. I took a leap super high, and I ended up at the very top of this mountain. And once I was there, I could see everything. There was just a mountain range, and I was so high. I could see the valleys below. It was breathtaking. It was beautiful. I felt like I could see the whole world from up there. And because I had mastered leaping that high, I decided once I was at the top of the mountain to leap again. And this time I leapt in the air, took a leap, ended up in the air, slow motion, very Matrix-like, okay? And I was able to see everything from the air. And then I decided I wanted to see what was behind me. So I took another leap and turned. And then I was able to see from the other side. So I started on the ground, leapt up to the top of the mountain. From the top of the mountain, I took a leap even further in air, managed to harness my energy. You know, this is like so Neo Matrix, right? Manage my energy. I was up there checking everything out. And then from midair, took another leap and turned around to see everything. Awesome dream, by the way. There was more to it, but I'm sharing that because that is so symbolic of what I'm talking about right now. Your incredible, powerful, energetic, synergistic, harmonizing, vortexing, powerful, magical energy that you have created by doing the work and by now embodying your energy signature and your empath gifts as a journey through and from the heart. So from this high vantage point, we see everything differently. Everything looks differently. First of all, you can see everything. Okay, you're gifted everything you need. You can see everything before it even comes into your energy field. You can see everything that's available to you. And as I'm saying that, I'm getting this air. It feels like a wind. I have no windows open. It feels like a wind, a breeze just came in. So I love that magic. So anyway, from this high vantage point, you see things differently. And I want to talk about the divine five. So divine five, number one, your free will. As part of the human collective, we all have free will. We get to make decisions about how we want to live, how we want to show up. Do we want to serve divine or not? Do we want to marry? Do we not want to marry? Do we want to have kids? You know, all the stuff. We have free will, right? We have free will. This is actually divine law. We have free will to choose whatever we want, okay? The second part of the divine five is the divine will, and that is the understanding that it's the integration that, yes, I have divine will, but a higher way is for me to surrender to the divine mystery of the unknown. And there may be some plans that the divine has if I check in, if I ask, if I co-conspire with the divine. That divine will actually might make me happier. It might actually create more joy. It might actually anchor situations better. It actually will, right? Of course, divine will is the supreme, it's the highest. However, we do have free will. So we get to choose. And this is very important for you, empaths, because let's say that you feel called to go into a situation or a community and share light and energy, but you're just exhausted and you just really don't feel like you can go today. Then go home and go get some sleep. Exercise your free will, eat a meal. You know what I mean? Watch a movie, read a book, take a nap, play with your cat or your dog. Take a walk, go to yoga class, do Pilates. I mean, whatever, punch the punching bag, do what you got to do. You can exercise your free will. The journey of the heart doesn't mean we just throw out all of who we are, all of our personality. You know what I'm saying? Like, do what you got to do. Like, just because even if you're like Zen on the mountain, if you want to listen to your rock or your rap or whatever you do, if that's what floats your boat, you still got free will. Do your thing. You know what I mean? Do your thing. We're not losing our personality. We're not losing our creativity. We're not losing our passions and our playfulness and those unique things about us that, are part of us. It's we're merging and we're integrating those things into our divine path. Some things we're going to let go of because they just no longer serve and they're no longer aligned. But a lot of things, they're just part of our thing. You know what I mean? We're going to keep dancing. I'm going to keep dancing because that's like, I love to dance. So I'm keeping that. But then there's times when I'm just in divine will and spirit is saying, no, be still, be quiet, no music, disconnect. Okay. So divine will is the integration of a higher aspect of what is available. And it really is a very beautiful way to live. And when we are in the journey of the heart, it does become honoring divine will moment by moment for the most part. Then there's divine collaboration or orchestration, or we could say partnership. And that is where, I guess you could say that's the free will and the divine will coming together sometimes, but it's where you, empath, are working with other beings, other divine humans, other light workers, other star seeds, other people who have gifts and talents. You're coming together, you're bringing your energies together. So like, let's say we were going to have a sound bath and this one plays flute and this one plays cello and this one knows how to play oh gosh, what is it called? The didgeridoo? I don't know how you say that. And this one plays singing bowls and this one has chimes and this one has a tuning fork. It's that divine collaboration. We come together, not just for singing baths and sound baths, but for healing work, healing communities. There are people who come together and just pray over cities or pray over the land or do land activations, do ceremonies on land to heal nature and the trees and the plants and to align with nature. So the divine collaborations are often with humans, other enlightened, high conscious humans. It can be with nature. You can collaborate with nature. Okay. Sometimes I collaborate with trees. I'll just stand in front of a tree and I'll allow the energy of the tree to connect with me. And I send my energy to the tree and I create this energy field. Okay. And with the intention of healing whatever's there in the vicinity. Okay. So divine collaboration can be with angels, your ancestors. It can be with human beings. It can be with the elements. It can be with the elementals, flora kingdom, fauna kingdom. You may collaborate with your dog, your pets. I don't currently have pets, but I've had a lot of pets in my life, and a lot of them come to me in my dreams, and we work together doing spiritual work. And you may wonder, how do you do spiritual work with your pets? It's beautiful. It's truly, truly beautiful. I don't have the time to get into that right now, but there's some beautiful work that our pets can do with us in dream world, in dreamland. All right. Then there's number 4, divine intervention. That is where things are going one way, but either there is a need for some major shift and it's bigger than you, it's beyond what you're capable of. And so the divine just comes in and does whatever is required. Or maybe we've gotten off track. Sometimes you're trying to help people and the energy is not there. This happens a lot before we're in the journey of the heart. We're pouring into people, maybe overgiving, really trying hard to show up, and you don't realize that you're just with an energy vampire who's going to keep sucking the life out of you there's no balance. And so sometimes the divine will come in and shift the energy so intensely and so powerfully that you can't help them if you want to. You're removed or they're removed. That's a divine intervention. So divine intervention can show up as profound healing. It can show up as a deep integration, a knowing. It can be a dream. It can be the removal of a person or situations. It can be something coming into the energy field to support your highest good, but it was not on the radar screen, and it is bigger than you and it is beyond you, and the divine decides, okay, that it's needed. And then number 5 is divine chaos. And divine chaos is so interesting because I think sometimes those of us that are trying to live an enlightened life, we feel like at some point we're not going to experience chaos or stress or challenges. Well, look at our world over the last 2 years. I don't care how enlightened you are and how high conscious you are and how pure your path is. We've all been affected by the last few years in some way, shape, or form, right? So we're not untouchable. Energy is energy. It's a mixed bag. It's good, bad, it's ugly, it's strange, it's weird, it's creepy, it's it's exciting, it's everything. And we're all experiencing it, and none of us are exempt. But we do want to learn to finesse it so that it doesn't hurt us or harm us. So divine chaos is part of the divine five. It is part of the experience. It's where it's like all hell breaks loose or something crazy happens. You don't even know how did this get into the field? What am I supposed to do with this? Right. And as part of the journey of the heart, you know now the light bulb goes off and you go, oh, I ask what the lesson is. I integrate what that lesson is. I ask if this is my assignment. If it is a divine yes, I go into base. I get the command codes. I receive the energy that's needed for the situation. I go into the situation. I step into the chaos with my fully embodied knowing of who I am as a divine being of light. I swirl and mix and vortex the energy. I am the container. I am the vortex, and I am vortexing this situation because it came into my field for a reason. I'm no longer running away from energy. I'm allowing myself to connect with energy. I'm allowing myself to mix with energy. I'm not afraid of it. If it's my assignment, I'm all up in it. If it's not my assignment, step back, send love and light, stay in my lane. You know what I mean? Don't get involved. I don't put myself in chaotic situations. But if the chaos shows up at my front door, I ask, what's the lesson here? What am I supposed to integrate? Because it may be something that you're supposed to go into because there's great healing that's going to happen. And it might just be chaos that showed up at your door as a test of initiation, where you open the door and you're like, that's not my package. And you just shut the door quickly. No drama, no trauma, no crying, no, how did that show up? Why is it there? It's not mine, period. Boom, 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 you passed. Next level. Next level empath. So that's the divine five: free will, divine collaboration, orchestration or partnership, divine intervention, and divine chaos. From that new ascended vantage point from the mountain, you begin to recognize all of these things, especially divine chaos, very differently than you did when you were in energy sensitivity mode. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is dark night of the soul, explored from a new vantage point. So many of you, before recognizing that you were an empath, or as part of your recognition, you had a dark night of the soul. Maybe some of you are experiencing this dark night now, and it's where basically we have a tower moment and everything seems to shift, and it can be really uncomfortable while you're going through it. Very difficult, very painful. Some people go through a dark night for several days or weeks. Several people go through it for months, and from what I understand, some people's dark night has gone on for years. I know when I had mine, everything radically changed in my life. There was so much uncertainty, and it was truly a walk of faith, because I felt in so many ways like I'd never been in this space before. Even though I had been a spiritual person my whole life, I'd never been in the experience of feeling like I was just dropped in darkness. I literally felt like I was dropped in darkness and yet completely surrounded by angels. That was my experience. It's like I'm in darkness. There's so much unknown, and I can feel a lot of tension and pain, and yet I'm completely protected. So my only responsibility in this incredible, radical new learning is to, like, through the darkness, hold the hand of the angels that are pulling me through it, and trust that it's all going to be okay, and trust that some way through this I'm going to be refined and stronger and more aligned. And that's exactly what happened. I integrated more profoundly who I am and what my path is. And it really was, for me, the catalyst for recognizing that I was now going to merge spirituality with my clinical work, because I had always been a spiritual person and I had been a clinician, but I now was given the opportunity to merge the two without any separation. And there were many other things, but that's a whole long story, my dark night. I'm sure you all have incredible stories as well. So from this new vantage point, journeying through the heart, we now look at the dark night of the soul differently. It appeared to be gut-wrenchingly painful while we were going through it, right? But now it is given a place of respect and honor within the soul temple. It's almost like it has its own altar, the dark night, within the soul temple, where we go and we reflect and we remember and we reclaim. It's like, that's where the dark night happened. And there's so much reverence and there's so much respect for it. So it has its own dedicated space within our soul temple, and it comprises all of the lessons that we learned while going through that dark night. In this new vantage point, you now realize that the dark night of the soul was your greatest teacher. And rather than being this horrible thing that we just want to forget about, it was a catalyst for soul-required change. And we reverence that, we respect it, because of all that has been gifted to us and all that has unfolded since then. So it happened in divine timing, and it is the reason why you are now able to integrate the lifestyle that you have as an ascended, higher conscious being. It's the reason you are doing the work that you're doing now. And it's the reason why you've elevated from being an energy sensitive empath to an empath that's moving through the journey of the heart with grace and excellence, and just accepting, who you are and what's coming to you moment to moment, breath by breath. So many of us became acquainted also with our shadow during the dark night of the soul. Shadow is such an interesting experience. Some of us were scared initially of our shadow. We thought it was, oh my gosh, it's the dark side. It's the demon in me. It's the part of me that does all the bad things. It's this part that I'm supposed to scare. I'm supposed to kill the shadow. I've got to just strip myself of shadow and get rid of it. So some of us, part of our journey was fearing shadow, not knowing what to do with it. For a lot of people, shadow brings up feelings of guilt and shame because of what they've done when they didn't know what shadow was about, and when shadow was running amok but not integrated. And so some of us, we thought if we just get rid of it, if we just clear it, if we cut the cords and we set new intentions, it's all going to be good. We don't want the shadow, kill the shadow. And this created internal conflict for us, because you can't get rid of shadow. Okay, so once we accepted that, we can't get rid of shadow. Shadow's a part of us. It's not going anywhere. Some of us decided to have a party. Well, shadow's here for a reason, so I'm just going to do whatever I want. And if I get an attitude, or if I behave badly, or if I do something I shouldn't do, well, it was my shadow. It's not my fault. God made me this way. So some of us really just had a field day and partied with our shadow. And that didn't necessarily end well either. So cutting it and slaying shadow and trying to kill it didn't work. Just letting it run loose without any boundaries, just doing whatever we want, whenever we want, that didn't work out, because that activated the unhealthy part of ego. And it also created an unhealthy sense of self, a mental construct that something's wrong with us, something's bad, and that when we act this way, it's our bad part, and we wanted to act like that was okay, but it wasn't really okay. Shadow is not, it's neither good nor bad. When you're in the journey of the heart, from that higher vantage point, we are no longer looking at the world through the lens of duality. Shadow is neither good nor bad. It's just a part of us. And from this new vantage point, we can emerge and have new perspective that, the dark night of the soul happened. We met our shadow parts, And what was offered to us is this beautiful, brilliant, divine collaboration where we merge our shadow and light in this beautiful, harmonious swirl of energy. So rather than shadow being your demons and your dark side and being this thing to be feared or, whatever it was or is, merging and allowing this merge to be this beautiful swirling dance of the divine with all of your parts. I see the shadow as like marble fudge ice cream. So, you have the vanilla, which is good. And then you have the chocolate, which is also good. And they're both their own thing. They're both bringing their own energy and they're both bringing their own flavor, but they're blended together, offering these different flavors, these different energies, these different looks, these different feels, and they can coexist. The chocolate and the vanilla can coexist in marble fudge ice cream. And your shadow and your light can coexist in the same space. The shadow offers a flavor that's different, but it can serve the soul equally as our light. In fact, shadow or the dark side is just a denser form of light. It's all light. Ultimately, it's all light. The shadow is a denser part, a darker part of light, but dark isn't bad, right? Dark isn't bad. Dark is perspective. And so a lot of times people refer to dark as being some bad thing. And I guess there can be dark agendas, right? There can be nefarious agendas. And sometimes we call those things dark, but dark isn't all bad, right? Dark can also be light. It's just another shade of light. I hope you notice I use humor. I laugh a lot. Part of that is because my soul is happy. But the other part is because laughter presents a higher vibration. It shifts energy very quickly. And when we are laughing, just in case you guys didn't know, we are actually lightening the load, calming the nervous system, and the brain integrates quicker. We laugh, we smile, and the tension fades. So instead of trying to really grasp all this information, we just automatically subconsciously take it in through a smile, through laughter. So smile often, laugh, have fun while you're learning all that you are as a divine empath. All right. So now we can review the dark night of the soul with grace instead of seeing it as that horrible, torturous thing we went through that we really don't want to talk about. And we're glad that's over and we'd like to just sweep that under the rug. No, what can we say we learned? What did we learn? Or what can we learn from our dark night? So let's look at some things. Number one, we can't have light without dark. This is the law of polarity. So the dark night of the soul revealed the shadow and helped us understand that our shadow parts, the way we'd been living was no longer working. There was a tower moment, not for us to throw all of our parts out, but to integrate our ego and our shadow and our pain and our sadness and our sorrow, bring it together and make marble fudge ice cream and allow all of what we've been through to be part of our story, but without attachment, so that nothing is keeping us unearthed, but now anchored and grounded and very aligned with all that we are and remembering all that we came to be and reclaiming all of our gifts and all of our power. That was offered to us through the dark night of the soul. Number two, what actually is the higher reason for the dark night of the soul? What happens during it, right? And that's going to be different for each human. I can't say exactly what your answer is, but I'm sure you know exactly how it shifted you and how it changed you. I know for me, it helped bring together all of the different parts of my gifts and my energies and my psychic powers, as well as pain and sadness. It helped me understand why I moved through the world. It helped me understand my defense mechanisms and where they showed up in my life and how they first were introduced. And it helped me recognize that I didn't have to live in fear. So my dark night of the soul was powerful because I transcended fear. I no longer was afraid of things that had previously been very scary. So think about it. What happened during your dark night? What is the higher mountain perspective of that experience for you? Number 3, what does it change in us now? Having gone through the dark night of the soul, how are you changed now? How do you move through the world now? I know for me, again, I feel like I'm embodying the gifts and the power and the grace with graciousness and kindness. I know I've always been a kind, loving person, but because I was in management, and I was a young manager in a clinical field, and there were a lot of ball busters in my industry, and a lot of people test you, I had probation officers and parole officers, and it's not really judges, but colleagues, and people would question me having a doctorate and being a doctor at a young age and managing programs, and so to deal with that, I think I became a little bit harder than I wanted to early in my clinical career, but it was a defense mechanism. It wasn't who I really was. It was just like, I'm not going to let you run over me. So I'm going to have boundaries that are so high. I would rather be not feared, but like, I'd rather you just do what I want you to do, like do the work, do your work. You don't have to like me, kind of thing. And part of my growth as a manager in clinical work was to learn to be strong and be empowered and be a strong manager, while at the same time allowing the softness of my heart, my truth, to also be there. They could coexist. They could be in the same space. I didn't have to be one or the other. And that was definitely gifted to me as my shadow expressed itself and we integrated it with my light during the dark night of the soul. So what is your shadow and how does it express itself? That's number 4. And again, this will be different. This will vary from person to person. But I know, for example, let's say those of us that identify as being divine feminine, but it could be anybody. You don't have to be divine feminine. I know, though, a lot of us divine feminines love to go dance. We'll go dance in the forest. We'll dance in our homes. And we're not always just doing ceremonial, soft, beautiful dancing, although that's a lot of it. A lot of it's very beautiful, very glorious, very goddess-like. It's so beautiful, with scarves and different things. But there's times where we're just putting on, like sometimes your shadow dance is expressed through some hardcore music. I'm not going to tell you what kind, but let's just say hardcore, okay? Various different types. There's a lot of different types of hardcore. I'm not saying to do that. I'm not saying don't do that. But that is one of the ways sometimes shadow will express itself. So like if you're finding yourself angry or tense or really annoyed with somebody or ungrounded or whatever, sometimes that shadow just wants to come out, and dancing is a fantastic way. It can be punching a punching bag. I mean, there's so many different ways you can learn, but what is the way that your shadow is expressing itself? How does it want to be known? How does it want to be seen? And do you give it space to be expressed in a divine way? See, that's what's offered from this higher vantage point. Number 5, how does shadow work serve your current soul path and your service work? So having done your shadow work, merged your light with the shadow, you're just allowing yourself to be marble fudge or whatever flavor you want, whatever, amalgamation you want to be. How does that even serve your service work? So noticing how the experience you had helps you show up even stronger and help others. Number 6, we now are more capable of noticing judgment of ourselves and others. That's gifted to us by recognizing the shadow and integrating it with our light. Oh, I know when I'm in judgment. I know when I'm being self-righteous. I don't want to judge myself and I don't want to judge others. I'm giving myself permission to release that. Number 7, how do I notice resistance? And how do I forgive myself from the past? So what am I resistant to? What do I not, what areas of anything from the past that's being offered for me to heal? Where are the areas I don't want to go in? That's too painful. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to deal with that. Can we just act like that never happened? Can we just, ignore the fact that I went through this, I had this experience, it was painful, I did this, they did that. Like, can we just move on? What are you resistant to? Shadow work and the dark night of the soul gives us permission to open that door safely, accompanied by the divine, our angels, our protectors, our ancestors, and go in and heal that with self-forgiveness. Release the past, release the things that you did, release the things that we did when we were still sleeping and we were not integrated, we were not aligned. And even if you thought you were integrated, even if you thought you were aligned, even if you thought you were ascended, now in this new unit of time, having gone through the dark night of the soul, having met your shadow, you're no longer running from your shadow, you just forgive. So, number 8, how do I recreate my self-image, self-love, and self-trust now that I've met my shadow, now that I've gone through the dark night? And these are questions that only you can answer. But these questions, these new perspectives are offered from that higher vantage point, that mountain lens, okay, that mountain perspective, which is part of your journey of the heart. Number 9, we start looking at polarity different, the law of polarity. So for example, these are some polarity statements. I don't change. I'm a divinely guided being. I'm an empath. I know I'm here to serve humanity and the collective and spirit. So I don't change, and yet I am ever changing as I am malleable now. So polarity, right? I am enough right now, who I am, the way I show up as a divine citizen of the universe and a child of divinity. I am enough, and yet growth is inevitable. Polarity. I am a creator, and free will is available. Yet I am in co-creation with the universe, and I can manifest divine will. Polarity. Amalgamating so beautifully, without effort, without tension. Here's another one. I do my best, and that still may not be enough for some people who are stuck in lower mindset. I may be judged or minimized even when I do my best. This is why it's so important for us as empaths to release the opinions of others and to be anchored and grounded in what we know to be true based on getting our command codes from the divine, from base. We go within so that we know who we actually are. So though I do my best, I may be judged, I may be minimized, I could be ignored, I could be rejected, I could be seen as not good enough. And yet that's not your truth. That's not my truth. Those others in our lives can have their truth and you can have yours. Polarity. Number 10, there is always a conscious and subconscious integration. So as we go through the dark night of the soul and we meet our shadow, there is this we're consciously aware of what's happening, but then there's always a subconscious integration. And initially, we may define experiences as either good or bad, positive or negative, duality. But once we merge from the duality within us, once we make peace with our shadow and balance is restored, we begin to integrate very differently. And self-integration returns to us the reminder that we don't even have to conceptualize who we are by ourselves. We can go back to base over and over and over again, as often as we need to download new perspectives that align with and serve the highest light in whatever the situation is, whatever aspect of the journey we're on, whatever community we're working with. And sometimes maybe you're just having a hard day, we can go back to base as often as we can, get back in that highest light. And in this aspect of the journey, the heart learns to allow anything and everything that is occurring to just be without judgment of self or others. We no longer judge situations. We just recognize them as energy. And it either aligns or it doesn't. It either fits or it doesn't. It's either your assignment or it isn't. You know? So we've integrated shadow. We've released all this tense way of showing up and being and judging things and having hard, strong opinions. We're more flexible, we're more malleable, and we realize that energy is fluid and constantly shifting and changing because there's a mixed bag of energy, but we're also co-creating, we're co-conspiring with the divine and other beings. And in that co-creation, energy shifts sometimes very quickly. So rather than be so harsh and hard and tied to specific outcomes, and rather than having black and white rigid thinking, in this highest light and at this higher perspective, this divine vantage point, there's simply a desire to reach the highest, most elevated learning from the experience. This is what Dark Night of the Soul and Meeting Our Shadow has taught us, because there was nowhere to go. We couldn't escape it. We couldn't get out of it. It was brutally painful. And yet it was the greatest gift. We met ourselves. Some of us fell in love with who we truly are. Some of us released the pain and the sadness in the past, and we allowed ourselves this amazing possibility of something bigger, brighter, different than maybe we'd previously imagined about ourselves. So number 11, the dark night of the soul and the shadow, revealed ultimately how we can merge these two. We can merge shadow with light in a seamless way, so that on the continuum of all that we are experiencing and offering as light workers, healers, star seeds, empaths, there's now this beautiful flow of consciousness between all of our parts, rather than being fragmented, dysregulated, disjointed, discombobulated, fake. We're this way when we're, with other light workers. We're this way at work. We're this way with family. We now are congruent. We are aligned. Of course, we have boundaries. We're not going to necessarily go talk about magic to our family members or, our coworkers, especially if they're just like not down, right? If they're not into it and they think we're crazy, why go there? So of course have boundaries, and we want to learn to be all things to all people, meaning we stay congruent and authentic, but we show up and meet people where they are. That is how you're going to access more hearts of the community that you are assigned to work with, and you're going to be able to help a lot more people, because it's not about your ego, and we're not here to force people to think like we think or believe what we believe. We're just here to serve the highest light. And whatever that is, whatever serves the best in that moment, in that situation, we're here to honor and offer what we can. So as we integrate all of our parts, there's this beautiful flow of divine consciousness, with our energy. We're just amalgamating. We're just experiencing. We're just integrating. We're just flowing. There's this beautiful flow of light and shadow to serve the divine in the highest light. So these are your empath tips for this week. I'm hoping this is helpful. Stay hydrated. This year, 2022, will be very powerful and very magical for many of you. Your gifts will come online in ways you didn't know were possible. You will be surprised. And yet there will also be external chaos. And you've got it. You can anchor you can anchor your energy and you can download what is needed for any given situation. You are always divinely supported. Please never forget that. If it feels uncomfortable or overwhelming at any point, go back to base, clear your energy field, vortex the energy, get your command codes, ask what it is you're supposed to integrate and activate. Know that energy will always be gifted to you for every situation. The energy you need will always, always, always be gifted to you for any and every situation. So have no fear, but definitely do your basic things. Stay hydrated, okay? Because we're talking about energy. I'm going to go drink a bunch of water in a few moments, because as we're talking about energy, so much begins to shift from the mind space, from the mind field, from the cells, the organs, there's right and left brain. There's so many things going on, and we're affected. And as we learn new things and as we integrate new things and we step into higher paradigms, a lot of old stuff doesn't have anywhere to land in our energy field anymore, but it is still like trickling out. It's still kind of around, and it can leave us a little depleted, because it's kind of like if let's say you moved a bunch of furniture out of your living space. Now it's empty, right? It's empty, but you might have a whole bunch of dirt and dust that you didn't know was under that couch, because that couch was so heavy you were never able to move it. Now that it's gone, you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to vacuum all that up. I've got to trickle that out, right? Likewise, your living space may feel completely empty now that you have removed the big piece of furniture. Take what resonates. I'm done. Have a beautiful and blessed week. I'll see you again soon.